believe, magical, but...
Yes. Let's see. Okay.
And it is red.
I actually like this for Hong Kong, China. I really was advocating for this yesterday. I really wanted them to play that against Team Chinese Taipei, but they didn't actually do that in the second game. Here against Team China, they have that power that can really help them out, especially on the top half of the map, even maybe for mid lane, since Kenny Chan did struggle pretty heavily against Maple yesterday. So I want to see how they can deal with Hung and Shanks in this game.
Yeah, there was a bit of struggle in that mid lane. That was one of the defining factors for sure. That and then team fighting. I mean, Maple ran away with the game from those team fights, but that was the thing that all of Hong Kong China needs to really reassess, because a lot of these games are won through those team fights.
Right.
These skirmishes around the Drake in particular
Yes.
were very defining in their last best of 3 series. And so leading into this one, I'm hoping that they don't fully reinvent their composition and strategy. They just refine it a bit more, right?
Me too.
Go back, see the tape and say, it works. Let's keep it.
Because if you look at game 1 for Team Hong Kong China yesterday, honestly, it really boils down to that one fight around Dragon. That was really what made the game for Team Chinese Taipei, that gave them the lead for Maple that they went out of control with. Here in this game, I actually want to see how they can play around the red side, the power that they can get from these counter picks, especially because they're doing a strategy I love to see. When you're on the red side, leave some of these powerful picks open. You have the handshake. You only get one of them on blue side. Sure, you get the first choice of it, but the other 2 powerful picks get picked up on red side. So they have options. Zeri, Yuumi, Melio, Maokai, all these have been left open.
Yeah, it does seem like we're going to have one of those drafts that resolves itself with a Jinx Yuumi and a Melio and another hyper carry ADC, like the Zeri, of course, going to be there. So I wouldn't be too surprised, 4 picks in, that we just have our bot lane mostly secured.
Yuumi and Pelios here. I think this is what you run if you're MM and Kaiwing.
You could consider, Yuumi, and then you could also pick a jungler if you wanted to prioritize something that's got crowd control, perhaps, right?
Maokai would be really good.
Maokai, we've seen Sejuani's being picked. You could Nautilus if you want to flex, but if you're going to pick the Yuumi first, then you can't do that as successfully. So Yuumi Maokai, I think, does make sense.
It would be solid. It's a very solid strategy to go for, getting you control over the map early into the game.
Okay. Yuumi Tristana. Now, you could call Trist flexible. It's very unlikely that it'll be flexed unless it's between mid and top lane.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think it will be bot lane.
Yeah, so it is more likely going to be a mid lane Trist until proven otherwise, until we see otherwise. Which means they are going to withhold their jungle pick, they're going to withhold their AD carry pick and see where Team China chooses to go with their 2-3. Because here this has to be, Melio or a solidified bot lane champion. If they want to go the Nautilus themselves, I don't think they'd be afraid of doing that. Flexing at the jungle and then a last pick and chance.
I'm not a big fan of Melio with Zeri personally. I don't think they have the best synergy in lane. Melio is still a good pick. It's just in lane phase, you actually don't really team up well with Zeri, and that's the biggest problem. It's much more about later into the game. That's when you're going to find the power, and especially because you already see that Yuumi on the other side, you know it's going to be a very passive lane that you're not really going to be able to impact much.
And right now, nothing really to cleanse either with that ultimate.
Exactly.
Just, a lot of movement slows perhaps, but a knockback and things that aren't going to be a massive issue. And like you said, maybe not the best synergy, but provides a cleanse for the team, so lets you go ghost, lets you be more aggressive in the lane, perhaps with the summoner spell changes. Annie actually going to be the lock-in here.
Pick.
Big fan of this pick. Big fan of utility. You heard me backstage saying this. I just like utility for mid laners right now. I think it's the way to go.
I like it into Tristana as well. Tristana being something that early into the game, very low range as the passive kind of stacks up. Annie's going to be able to punish you at every stage. And until you're level 6, you do not have the same range as Annie.
There is one exception to that rule, and it depends so much on what junglers pick, right?
That's the big thing.
It's nice to be able to look at these matchups in a vacuum, and you're right, it's difficult to play either side of the matchup. If Trist goes in and Annie falls behind, can't really play the Annie, have to run teleport in your lane. Suddenly you've had a bad base or bad reset, but Annie can control you just holding that stun, right? Holding that laning pressure until a jungler comes in. Now, Maokai very good at ganking all lanes, very successfully. Flash Twisted Advance makes it so simple. And you can see starting to ban away those jungle champions. Now, I don't think you can ban Hung out.
No, I was about to say, you're not going to ban him out. You're going to take away some of the powerful picks here, but I think Hung would... Honestly, I'm wondering if they go for the Kha'Zix here. Kha'Zix is something that kind of sneaks his way into the meta, and it's something that works really well with Annie. And since Shanks likes to be more of that utility that backs him up with invades, and early into the game I talked about how Annie can get the better edge of Tristana, well, go for the invade, put Maokai behind so he can't control the jungle.
And it can be workable as well with this comp because you can have a tank top lane instead of like a Cassante that's been banned away, right? So it could be a Gragas with a Kha'Zix and suddenly your comp is solidified. Annie's going to be the bulk of the engage and crowd control, however, for that composition. So it can become very difficult to execute, especially because Zeri's not a Jinx, right? Is a closer range combat style champion, and they're against a fighter comp on the Hong Kong China side. So I think it's a style choice. You can play Kha'Zix, be hyper aggressive, have the W evolve, and just pressure them into submission. Or you could be more of the Nautilus Sejuani and actually be that engaging force for your team.
Boo! Be fighting, be aggressive.
Depends who you ask.
I'm all about skirmishes. I'm all about fighting early. And looking at what has been banned away by Team Hong Kong China, Wukong Nocturne, 2 skirmishers, 2 things that want to fight, especially once they hit level 6. So they know that Hong is looking for that style, much more about being the skirmisher, and they have to be so careful because now with an Ahri picked up, that actually, wow, that probably is a Trist on the bot lane. We didn't expect
it's
that.
It's going to be a Trist ADC, yeah. Now, I mean, we said this at the very start. Trist can be flexible. It's just not likely going to be that bottom lane champion until we see otherwise. Okay,
man.
Look, it's Kha'Zix and it's every other champion in League of Legends.
Ooh.
You just get that reset, right?
That's Viego.
And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
You can't deny that.
It makes too much sense that I can't argue with it, but I can be disappointed at the same time.
And sets up for a tank top lane quite naturally. Once again, that's where Cube wants to be. That's his happy place, but you have to remember what your opponent can play in response to your tank. Yeah. Ornn always possible, opts into the Scion, and here we are, an immediate pick into the Fiora that can handle that Scion lane very successfully.
I like this. I like the skirmish composition that has been put together by Team Hong Kong China. Utilize side lane as well. YSKM, when he was on Jax in Game 2 against Team Chinese Taipei, was a big threat. Even though the bot lane was falling apart for them, they always had to worry about this Jax nearly soloing out. Unfortunately, he was up against a Gragas, which is one of those really difficult. It's a counter pick, and you're not going to do much in there. He's not going to kill you. You're not going to kill him unless one of you makes a huge mistake.
Yeah, Jax presses counter strike, and for 2 seconds, Gragas just presses whatever ability he wants, and it's going to stop you, right?
Usually belly flop. Just
Everfrost just stopped him from his first place.
He didn't even go Everfrost. He just belly flopped every time.
Didn't need it. All the tools that he possibly wanted. This time around, however, the Scion into the Fiora is a different ball game. It is a bit of a mind game in laning phase, which is very fun to actually watch. Unlike a lot of top lane matchups, this one's exciting for who riposts, does the decimating smash connect. But to be seen as we get into this game, like you mentioned, Magical, it is going to be fairly skirmish-focused, fairly skirmish-oriented, a 4-1 type of strategy here from Hong Kong China. And for the team of China themselves, I feel like they can just team fight. But the crux of this is going to be around their mid-jungle early, and then revolving elsewhere.
It's all about how you play out with Shanks and Hong. Do they look for these early invades? Do they try to gain control away from Kenny Chan on Maokai? Because Maokai is a very oppressive force. You have to always make sure you're contending against the saplings that he puts up, how he wants to get vision for the team so they can have the pressure from each of their lanes to look for those skirmishes, to try to find you out here in this game between Team China and Team Hong Kong China as we load up onto the Rift. Have to keep our eyes out on the mid-jungle for each side.
Looking like some cool dudes, though, with their skins on, ready to go. Hop onto Summoner's Rift. Duck has to be seen. You got to make sure he's healthy and happy, Mr. Duck. But we get into the game. Best of 3 between Hong Kong China and China. And as the stage gets set here very early on, you have to look at this early ward placement because that was a big factor in Team China's last best of 3. There was a lot of very successful invades that led to bot dives and skirmishes to set up all of this action happening early. So if there is good vision placed by either team, it can stem that in its entirety.
But I like this from Team Hong Kong China. Reading the tape, watching that, knowing exactly what the play could be there from Team China. They even have YSKM set up in case Hong does look for that ward placement. Will get spotted. They know that he is attempting to get that vision on Kenny Chan so they can know where the Maokai is. That's so crucial early on. That's why they're kind of calling over, saying, hey, Shanks, be prepared just in case.
Yeah, but you can see he's not going to place the ward. Now, he had no vision of the Maokai, so he wasn't actually sure if there was a sweeper in hand. So didn't see the yellow trinket confirmed. The ward will get placed and will not get cleared. Shanks just sneaks that one down. That could have been taken away, and it could have been pretty devastating, actually, for the mid lane due to experience.
Get that early experience, especially as the Ahri into Annie matchup.
Level 2 on the first wave is going to be lane winning, potentially.
It's really one of those handshake mid lane twos that we've been seeing a lot of. Annie versus Ahri. There's really no winner or loser in that matchup. You're kind of just handshaking, clearing out the wave as best as possible.
Ahri will stand in the wave. Annie doesn't want to aggro everything. If Ahri tries to make a play, Annie shields while standing in the wave. It's just a giant handshake.
With the stun as well. Even if you get the charm off, you're both CC'd. You're not doing anything. So we're not really expecting them to do much when it comes to the 1v1. It's all about those junglers and where they're playing. That's why that ward was so important. And I like this from Kenichan. Went for the Raptors, immediately booked it down. Didn't even actually look for his own red.
Yeah, Raptors in vision as well, so it kind of denies all of the knowledge that exists there for Team China, right? They know he did Raptors. They know he started there. They don't know where he went afterwards, as bot lane is going to be pushed in here for Team China. So the stage, you would say, is set for a potential gank, but keep that in mind. Why are they pushing so hard? Well, their jungler is here, right? Their jungler is ready for that counter if it comes to it, but is about to be spotted.
Nice ward from Kenichan as well. Completely spots this out, and Hung realizes, hey, I've been bamboozled. He's here on the bot side.
And that sapling actually revealed the ward as well. You see the ping comes down. That is winning on
5 gold.
Every possible level. Yeah, 5 gold, all of the information secured. And just continuing that path back towards the top side of the map. And look, if this works.
Hey, props to Kenichan on here.
Not only does he deny a gank, but he plays towards his Fiora lane on the flip.
Right, who's already got the pressure and gets an early TP out of Cube.
Doesn't get the experience for the cannon. That's what I was looking towards. Going to get the demolish proc on the turret, but Cube at the very least will be able to collect these last hits. But an early teleport means that he gets a base for a refillable potion, which is not ideal.
Yeah,
you're
kind of feeling the Sion end of this matchup into Fiora, where you're like, alrighty, how little CS can I be behind? That is the game plan.
You would like to base for 6 cloth armors if possible.
Yeah. So you can survive.
Yeah.
And then maybe get the Bomby Sender just to have some wave clear, because Fiora is going to make sure that anytime you're nearby.
This is pushing, so I actually really want to highlight this top lane. While it doesn't look like much is going to happen just yet, there is a possibility that the Maokai or the Viego goes up there to help out, and they see one another again. So if it stays isolated, this is a really good situation for the Fiora, who has the wave perfectly positioned to get that reset up.
Kenichan wanted to take his Raptors, but does lose out on a couple of them to Hong, who gets that experience. So they will both be level 4. No one really having the full advantage. Nice Bramble Smash there from Kenichan, but unfortunately, he needed to de-aggro that because Hung was able to steal that away.
Yeah, Kenichan, no smite, no opportunity to secure that one himself. Hung just comes in and staunches him effectively out of the area, puffs up his chest. That is mine. Good smite awareness, but otherwise, bot lane going to have a skirmish here. That was actually a lot of summoner spells expended.
Yeah, heal, and, I think that was heal and exhaust. No, sorry, ignite. I'm not used to that from Yumi. Usually it's the heal exhaust.
The true alpha, especially when your AD has cleanse, not the heal himself.
Right, so that's why I assumed. I'm like, heal, exhaust, and then I realized, oh, wait, it's ignite. Okay, that's an aggressive bot lane, and having those already blown, even though it is on your Yumi, not the worst end of the trade, because you'll still hold on to that cleanse and flash in the bot lane. You are going to push out into this bot lane a little bit, so you can recall and buy something. We even see that going back, getting the 2 long swords for MM.
Yeah, yet 14 CS down. Right,
that's the bad part.
3 consecutive games here from Team China where their bot lane is just outright winning the 2v2. Top, of course, is going to be a big point of power for Hong Kong China. YSKM putting in that work, but it is still volatile in the sense that a Sion can become unkillable, and the Fiora can become actually killable.
Yeah, maybe the Sion is unkillable for everyone but YSKM.
Yeah.
It's the Fiora matchup still. Even if you're Sion, you have this big ball of stats, you're into Fiora. Fiora's going to be able to cut through you like butter.
It can buy time though, right? Like say that, let's just, hypothetically, of course, we are watching some fighting, and Kenichan in trouble.
In trouble, but dashing in. Med was able to get the charm, try and take down Hong before. It's going to be the reset. They have so close to death. The flash away. It's going to be first blood picked up by Med. They were able to pick up one, but they want another one. Shanks goes back to the wave. Team Hong Kong China will take that first blood.
Really well played by Med and Kenny-chan. Interesting thing is on the other side, they were a bit indecisive with who they were going to go for. Both members of Hong Kong China Low. No real cohesion in their engaged target. It's that little bit of indecision gets punished very nicely, and Team Hong Kong China with that first blood, very much needed.
And giving that over to the Ahri as well. Perfect person to put your gold into. And like you said, it was about them layering all the damage onto one target while it's kind of spread out by Team China.
Yeah, and Hung's going for meds this entire time, but it's an Ahri with 2 stacks of the ultimate who can just simply dash away. Meanwhile, Kenny-chan was being hit by Shank, so that indecision, perhaps it's just not clear communication, but whatever it may be, that comes back to bite them.
Gives over that first blood gold to Med. Comes back into lane with the Merc Treads. We'll have those for just a little bit of extra tenacity up into this matchup. Kind of expected because you are still worried about getting poked out by Annie.
Sion does not become a bronze player and does not ult into the turret. We'll get back to top lane and catch the wave.
Have you ever done that?
Yep.
Yeah, I have to.
Yep. You take a second, like, where am I?
Yeah, because you're not paying attention. You just click down the lane.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, why am I not moving?
I have been auto-passed into this situation. It is devastating.
Yeah.
It doesn't get him. He's a pro player for a reason.
Exactly. There's a reason he's there and we're here.
The biggest thing for me, though, is still this bottom lane. Like, Hope, look at the CS difference, and this is just prior to a reset. So he's now in a strong position on the map. Cube's going to be perfectly fine. If you consider the CS difference right now in top, he just got a plate as well. Like, he's actually keeping up as a tank.
It's about how little you lose. That's the Sion and Fiora matchup. And he's not losing all that much 10 CS at this point in the game. Sion, you're like, hey, great, I got a plate as well.
Yeah, and then once again, Deja Vu in mid lane. Med, the second Tibbers is available to be pressed. Just going to use that first strike, put him down to half HP. Does open up the floor like before to those 2v2 skirmishes, but the reality is Team China still in control of this game, though the gold doesn't really reflect that way.
No, it's mostly from the bot lane, where we're seeing a lot of that gold for Team China that is making up for the losses they have mid and top side. That is why this is not really reflective of what is going on in the game, because Hope and Iwandi have got so much control over MM and Kaiwing that, honestly, as the Tristana into the Zeri and Melio, while I'm not a big fan of how they work together, they still can outrange Tristana early into this game and make it really difficult for you to do much.
And Zeri can be a very good duelist. You know, Melio can be very good at denying things and has solid base DPS as well when those abilities are connecting. So they can find their way in, and they certainly did. As our eyes go back to the expected location. If it's not bottom, it is going to be top for the opposing side here. Team Hong Kong China's point of advantage.
Look
But meanwhile,
Hong and Shank's pinging. There's a lot of pings in this bot lane saying, let's look for this. MM Kaiwing have kind of expected some danger, or already backing off pretty far with the rock jump. They can easily get back. They're calling down Med. They were looking for a potential play.
Hope has no dash, I believe, so they're going to go on him.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get a lot of damage as well. Trying to root him, waiting for the charm to flash away from Hope to survive. The zap not doing enough damage. It will be Team China still walking away.
Hope choosing to use his flash there over the cleanse, where he could have perhaps just cleansed the charm and ran away. Wants to be safe, doesn't want to take any follow-up damage and run the risk of like a jump reset or a follow-up dive. So better safe than sorry.
Especially with the explosive charge on top. You never want to give those resets over.
Exactly right. But a good punish, realistically, from Team Hong Kong China to recognize that he did use his dash. He can't get over the wall, and suddenly there's a target on his head. And so they do get that summoner spell forced out. Not the kill they're after.
No, but it will also give some free time to MM. As Tristana, well, this matchup might not be the easiest as the game progresses. Level 6 gets more range. You're going to be able to match that of Zeri. Plus, you have that explosive charge, so you can actually do reasonable damage to these plates early into the game that might bounce you back. But they're going for this aggressive play onto Hope.
It's a cheeky jump in, it felt like. Beyond that, they weren't going to go for anything else. But again, Deja Vu for the third time in mid lane. You look there and there's just a Tibbers on the ground.
And this is why you go for those early Merc Treads, Azari. You expect that's going to happen every time.
Yeah, no choice. Right? No choice if you want to stay in this lane. Gets the 50 gold. You call that a winning lane.
GG, well played. That gets you a pot.
Also is an ultless Ahri, so they really are just trading those ults out. Hung should get spotted there. You can't walk through without the turret seeing you. But he's crossing through towards the red buff as Cube works his way down.
Hi, Cube. Where are you? He is in enemy territory right now, and he does not care.
Gaining that knowledge, that information, Kenny-chan spotted as well bot lane with a ward. So you can see the ult comes through with the dash.
And they were able to interrupt that, but the cleanse from earlier keeps Hope going. He was able to get right out of there from that route.
and they just knew what was happening. They quite simply baited out the Twisted Advance, the Maokai ultimate, and then just dashed to safety. Yes, it's a flashless area. Yes, there's a target on my head, but what if I make you think there's a target on my head, but I was safe all along?
Exactly, and I can still dash over the wall, get out of there. So it is still that cleanse burn. Now that is going to be a summonerless Zeri in the bot lane that can still punish, and this is why I think Shanks and Hung are looking to play towards this bot lane.
Another jump in,
and they get a lot of damage on I1, but the shield from Warm Hugs will keep them fully topped off, especially with the Breath of Light. That's why they get the TP here, try to dissuade the engage as Kenny Chan down Shanks on the other side. Med wanted to get at least a little bit of a charm, gets that orb, tries to dash back in. Everyone's low. Shanks, Hung, both alive, both able to get out with a flash in from Med, was able to pick up one kill. Got a double kill with the dash, the resets are there. Hope has the blast cone, blasting away, but slowed down by the prowling projectile with the smite charm combo. Triple kill for Hong Kong China.
And a huge team fight here from Hong Kong China. 3 kills into the hands of Med. The resets come through. The Rift Herald gets summoned after as well. An insult to injury here for Team China as extra money goes into the pockets of Team Hong Kong China. Great team fight. 4-0 is the scoreline. Sion coming through just to dissuade. But the fight was what mattered.
And this is looking great from Team Hong Kong China. This is what I wanted to see from them yesterday. Playing with conviction, all of them on the same wavelength, bouncing back, saying, hey, Team China, you're not allowed to be here. This is an illegal move.
And kind of just punishing the cooldowns that exist there, right? We're trading back and forth. Tibbers gets used in mid lane to punish me. Well, I have my ult, you don't. Right? This is what happens. They get the flash out of him, and remember, Summonerless is Hope from all of the extra attempts on him prior. And they do eventually find out that he can fall.
Yeah, and with Med now 4-0 on Ahri. Everfrost completed. Really going for that full utility. So you can make sure that it's going to be MM later into this game that is going to be your powerful tool.
Recall cancelled here. I'm just hoping that he's far enough ahead that this full utility build is still going to do DPS, right? It's 4-0, the rest of your team not exactly doing much DPS just yet, and very reliant on your magic damage as a comp overall. But if it's going to be a Banshee's Veil for the Annie after this Everfrost, you have to be careful with your DPS output.
Yes, you're not going to really cut through her anymore. You're not going to have those avenues, especially because it is the tank build for Maokai Kenchen. Much more prioritizing being that front line for the team to try to counteract Cube on the other.
Ooh, 52 to 48% is the vote. We're engaging top again.
Oh, and getting the flash out Hong again. But that is going to be the lightning crash with the back. With the buster shot, Hope is low. Dashing again, not picking up that kill this time around. But Team Hong Kong China denying what was an attempted play on an MM.
Yeah, every single thing that Team China is doing, they are being pushed back, but they are being dissuaded now. Granted, if you look at the gold overall, it is equal, even though it is 4-0 in kills. Things still looking okay for Team China, and they are still scaling into this game, but you're seeing almost a reinvigorated Hong Kong China squad. The fights are looking different, they're looking more cohesive, and they're not giving anything away for free.
No, they're scrapping. They're making sure that every point of the game, they're actually looking for whatever kind of skirmish, and this is the composition they built, was to skirmish early into the game, to look for these potential plays, especially when you play around the cooldowns of your opponents and capitalize when they are stepping out.
Utilizing the fact that they have a fed Ahri that can move around the map as well is going to be quite important for them. Right now, Annie has not got that completed mythic in stark comparison to the items that exist there for Med. Going to be quite a big feature in these forthcoming fights. Objectives a while away, however. We've got the Rift Herald and then nothing for quite some time.
And for Team Hong Kong China, you're going to be fine with this. Start to get a little bit of that gold back, as that's really why this game, it seems even, is that there's a lot more CS on the side of Team China. We're getting to the point of the game. Tristana is starting to hurt. You can see right there. Looking for a little bit of the poke on Cube, even forcing out the ult already. Unstoppable Onslaught is going to be gone. Not going to have that re-engage here around Rift Herald.
It's just a skirmish, though. You're not expecting an all-in engage here from Team Hong Kong China. Team China, however, on the other side might be hunting. Rift Herald was their objective. Meanwhile, YSKM is going to continue that split push. And so a Rift Herald for a turret is a transaction not too bad, all things considered.
No.
The turret giving that immediate gold and opening up the map for them so much more. The sore spot, I think, for Hong Kong China is breaking the mid lane outer turret. How are they going to go about that with this skirmish-oriented comp if they just sacrifice the Herald?
Yeah, it's going to be a timer. They really have to wait it out, especially looking at the build path right now. 2 items for Tristana. Going to feel really powerful there, especially because you got the Kraken player, and that is going to be your tool to crack these turrets. But you have to make sure that there's not that re-engage on the other side, especially with Viego, Annie. You are very susceptible as Tristana if you're not on point with those rocket jumps.
Mid pressure actually starting to come down quite successfully. iWondy is going to make his way back here, but I think the blinking health bar of Cube and the fact they had some information on Shanks and Hung allows them to be more aggressive, and 3 members just sitting around right now. is protected.
Okay, dashed over. Crawling projectile connected. They didn't want to try to re-engage that one. If you look at the mini-map, you see that Hung and Shanks were pathing down. It was a little bit of a bait, and I think they might have gotten baited in here by Team China. Team Hong Kong China was trying to take down that tier 2. Try to capitalize on the fact they were able to get a low health bar. That is a TP, but YSKM also has this flank. It is Shanks looking for the flash in onto but he was able to get the rocket jump, but he still dies all the same as they get the reset. They take down Melio, and the Kai Wing will be answered, but look at YSKM in the middle, bounce around, reset city, triple kill for Hope.
And Team WE will hit the team fight. Team WE, Team China, one and the same in this game. Hope, when it comes to those team fights, is definitely a man possessed, but once again is set up by the rest of his squad. Shanks, Big Tibbers, right target, and YSKM unfortunately runs himself completely out of gas, out of mana, and just could not follow up through the rest of this. You watch it one more time and how they engage. Maokai, you thought perhaps split them up quite nicely, but it's Shanks teleporting in.
Look at that damage.
Finding his angle, effectively removing from the fight, and a Yuumi separator is just going to use summoner spells and pray that it does something, but not quite enough. And YSKM, you can see, comes into the mix, does what he can, but what he can is not enough in the face of a stopwatch from Shanks and the ability to survive while the rest of his team was falling.
Well, in the middle of everyone, never going to work out as Fiora. You want to have those side lane plays that you're looking for, and you need to be up in these fights, because how important his resets will be as well, on top of the Ahri resets they have, compared to that of Hong's resets on Viego. I mean, either side, whoever gets that first kill, it's going to start snowballing really quickly.
There's definitely a lot of resets. That much is absolutely for certain on the side of Hong Kong China. So they are very reliant on that pick becoming an eventual kill as fast as possible. And that 4-0 Ahri does have the Banshee's Veil completed, so is quite hard to deal with right now. Looking forward to a damage item though from here on out to try and actually alleviate some of the pressure that is on when it comes to the 4v4s, as you are still expecting YSKM to be in that side lane. Desperate for this mid lane outer turret, but just can't quite find it.
Right, and like I said, with Tristana, you really need that second item when you're really going to start feeling that power that you can actually push people back. Your Buster Shot can get you a lot of space and distance that can save you even with the rocket jump. But you want to also bring the hurt. Ned is looking for this flank. Is able to get the root, but they tried to go for the Heartbreaker, dashing back over the wall to stay alive as Kenny Chan is burning, nearly taken down. He will survive the whole time. I can't believe that he limps out of there.
Yeah, the lightning just doesn't quite find him from the Zeri ultimate. Cube just trying to hold on to this top lane turret. is still up and available for these fights, and Med, a great idea with the flank with the Maokai ultimate there, but very easily it felt like swatted aside and dissuaded by Team China is now in a spot of trouble.
You want the 1v1 duel against Sion, and that is your power, and here with that turret so low, dashing away, putting down the grand challenge, but rooted up for so long, it's an easy rampage out of Hope.
Fiora joins Team China now, as Viego gets to take that one over, and another kill goes their way. Tower falling, I felt like an inevitable thing there, and I think in reality, you're expecting that rotation from Team China. So just overstays just a little bit too much, and one of those classic Fiora traits, you're trying to split push, in your mind, in your heart of hearts, that's the way to play this out, but sometimes you just have to know when to back away.
You have to know when to hold them, when to fold them. Texas Hold'em kind of style, but unfortunately they lost the gamble. We'll be able to get back into lane. We'll be able to do fine. It's not Kenny Chan though, that it will be fine. Has to use Bramble Smash just to get out of there.
Bot wave perfect here for Team China as well. If you look at that on the mini-map, starting to push in, YSKM has to deal with that. If you're Team China, you can probably force a teleport out, honestly, from this Fiora. See if you can threaten the Baron. You can see they're pushing forwards, advancing their vision right now. Time is on their side, but at a certain point, that Fiora starts to push. So about a minute of time to work with.
They're using that. They're on the Baron now. calling that and saying you have to use this TP out of YSKM. You cannot just let us have this for free.
Exactly right. I mean, Cube's too tanky. It's not going to do any damage to any of Team China. They have to face check. Saplings will help at the very least.
Spots out at tap 50. Shanks, love his position on the side. Nature's Grasp come through. Was able to only get one root. Not taking down too many members, nor denying the reset there onto Baron, as Shanks was trying to get onto that flank but couldn't get it. It is going to be the forced out TP. That is what Team China wanted. They wanted to force that so they can fall back, reset later.
And I think this is just textbook League of Legends for how to play against the split push champion as a team of 5v5. If your goal is to split and they cannot stop you as a 4v5, you don't take damage from that Baron buff. They Maokai ulted. They tried so hard to dissuade you, but you don't care. You just play it out, and you force that teleport. Suddenly, what is the Fiora going to do if you do that again? Has to either sacrifice the ability to split push, suddenly the composition's not effective anymore.
The whole power, the reason why you drafted this 4-1.
Or you split push and win a 4v5. That's your other option, right? It gets tough either way, so really pinched into a difficult situation. Cube also about to have that teleport up again himself.
But still, I am respecting this play out of Team Hong Kong China. After the devastating losses yesterday, seems that they really learned from that, and they've come into this game with a whole new identity yet again, really trying to play around these skirmishes. But as we've gotten into the mid game, these items being completed, those lane power from the bot lane, especially out of Hope and Iwandi, are starting to really hurt Team Hong Kong China.
Red buff pressured. Bot lane now being dealt with by the Ahri because that is the remaining teleport. Not a split pusher though. So that starts to become just wave clearing group constantly. And now we start to get these 5v5s being forced.
Forcing out as much as they can, but just a simple rock jump. Not going to be really what Team China want. They want to get flashes, cleanses, any summoner spells to continue to get them the advantages. Maybe even an ult here or there. That's why Shanks is still looking for these flanks, potentially setting up a dive here on this tier 2 mid.
It's a really good opportunity to go for this. Cleanse is there for MM, but the damage might just be enough for lethal before that.
Yeah, look at that, the flash in. Way too much. MM will survive with the shield coming in from Yumi. As Shanks had to go golden.
Shanks gone.
They've got Ned, and then they've got him. He was taken up the whole time. They got a nice charm there on a hang. He's able to get out of there. As Cube is going to be the next target. Body blocked by Kenny-chan. They're on the run. Team China, where do you go from here? You have to hope that Hope is going to carry you through these with Zeri. They're waiting it out, but they don't have Hong in a good position to fight back. It's YSKM down deep, looking for the fight, looking for Hope, but Hope still is Zeri. Difficult to deal with, and Cube is chasing down and will trade his life for the top lane. That is going to be a great play for Team China if they can bounce back from this. They still have Hope. They still have the damage from Zeri and Hong on the other side for resets, but they haven't wanted to pull the trigger just yet.
They just spot Hong on the last little fraction of that sweeper as they move back towards the Drake. But if you walk bot side, teleports are going to come through. And Shanks, the first to fall in this skirmish that was a tower dive, is now here for the Baron.
And look, MM has to...
No cleanse this time.
Not at all. You got the flash. They use Prowling Projectile, but it doesn't spot out. You know that Shanks is there, and it's going to be the shutdown on the mid. But MM, he can't do anything. It was a stolen away soul. It is going to be traded back, too, with a nice reset there out of Hong.
And MM with the most disrespectful jump in that I respect a lot. Just goes for broke and says, if I get this kill, I get that reset. And it's a trade if nothing else. But someone had to face check.
Someone did.
Someone had to make the hard decision of finding Shanks in the bush. And it was meds this time around, but no Banshee's Veil available. The flash stun from Hung as well secures that combo of crowd control. Baron goes the way of Team China. Fantastic little series of skirmishes. And again, maybe not perfect League of Legends, but a masterclass on strategy.
And this is the power of Annie that really helps out why a lot of teams have been picking her so much. Is when it comes to these team fights, when it comes to setups around objectives like that, who's going to face check? Like you said, someone has to make that choice. Someone has to make that decision in order to get yourself some control back, because otherwise it's just going to be a free Baron regardless.
Yeah, and you have a Fiora that can't do that. You know, you have a Maokai that might be able to face check. That's where the saplings can come in super clutch, but what do you do when he's gone? What do you do when it becomes more difficult? China pressuring constantly. And now find themselves in the driver's seat with this Baron buff to try and accelerate the gold lead beyond 4,000. Inner turrets in mid lane and bot lane should be the likely targets here for Team China. And you should see them start to push in as they are now from Drake towards the blue side quadrant of the map and solidify some vision control there before.
Slow control for Team China. Just suffocate Team Hong Kong China. Don't let them have any control in their own jungle. That is what they're doing clinical here as Med gets soloed out by Shanks. Nearly dies with the help of the Baroned up minions.
Yeah, not really feeling too tanky with his tank build. Amazingly, still 1 HP. Merc Treads and Banshee's Veil not going to save him from the damage of Shanks. Now forced to go back to base. At least isolated in a 1v1 is YSKM, but elsewhere, struggling.
Yeah, the base is starting to go into tatters here for Team Hong Kong China with 2 Canyon minions here, buffed up by Baron, wailing away at the structure. Soon it will fall, and that is going to be an opened up inhibitor that Team China can punish.
Hung showing himself moving towards the topside jungle, however. Maybe alleviates some of the pressure. Doesn't feel like it.
Doesn't feel like it right there when MM has to bounce back. You're realizing there's a lot of damage. Even though Iwandi doesn't take the explosive charge damage, should be fine because Hope. Look at how tanky you are, Zeri, with this 3-item spike that you have. Titanic's been completed. You're so difficult to deal anything with. Even though YSKM was able to get the solo kill on the other side, it's all about the fight inside of the base. What is going to happen here for Team Hong Kong China?
They're just trying to keep them busy.
Hong is going to be the target, but they can't jump onto him. They got the root on a Hope as well, but YSKM, he's still inside the base. They got to keep him busy, but with the Baron up recalls for Team China, YSKM realizes he cannot stay.
Yeah, not going to be able to push any further, so it is not going to be a turret that falls, but the solo kill. Just that little bit of hope here for the side of Hong Kong China on how their win condition is starting to really come to fruition. And a nice little idea as well from the Hong Kong China squad. They got the solo kill and suddenly the team makes a snap decision. Keep them busy. You don't have to all in and win a 4v4, but just fight them.
Yeah.
Let me split push. And they just go. They use the Ari ultimate, just
oh
zone
no,
them.
Med getting caught out here by Hope. Forced to flash away. This is why I hate Zeri.
It's just annoying over every wall. You see this again, how the solo kill happened? Quite simply interrupts the ultimate, and it's just that simple.
Nearly has the insta-procs too from Grand Challenge. If you watch the mechanics there, where you just sit on top of them, get a 1 dash with the Stride Breaker. No, not Stride Breaker, with the Ravenous Hydra too. That helps you get all of the procs.
Hit the QW and then immediately gets the second one. It's still Cube struggling, like you said, but eventually Cube's going to be unkillable by everyone that isn't YSKM. So it depends on how these fights are set up for. And right now we are setting up for a Soul, a Drake Soul for the way of Team China. I don't know if Hong Kong China can contest this one. Not if their goal is to split push to a win.
Honestly, I don't even know if you want to. It sucks because it is a Hextech Soul, very powerful tool. But you know what is also nice? A flip at Elder Dragon.
Certainly gives you something, right? You get that Elder Dragon, you get that fighting strength. But are you willing to sacrifice the soul for something as simple as Zeri auto attacking a wave they find and engage?
It slows you down from
prepared for.
half a screen away.
Yeah. You don't want to risk that. But, like we said, can they even contest it? Let alone the conversation on do you want to contest it? Can you? Yeah. They've got an inhibitor at bottom. They've just pushed mid. They've got control of top.
Even using the TP to look for YSKM as everyone has rotated around. YSKM realizing, uh-oh, I'm in danger. Where do I go? Spotted out here on the tri-bush. Could actually get some distance. Still has TP if you want to look for the old SOAS special.
Not as easy to do these days.
No.
Certainly can try it, but is actually staying. So
okay, has that flank, and that's going to be Nature's Grasp popped by
Shanks
Kenny Chan.
spotted here as well. Might be the target.
Yeah, definitely the target. Even the flash over the wall as the rest of the team was looking for the engage. Cube taking a lot of damage. This is the point when Tristana is starting to hurt. Even as Zion, you're not nearly as tanky, and that's why it's going to be on Hope and how he can get the damage. As YSKM has to flash away from Hong, but you cannot get out unless they can get the charm on Hong. The re-engage nearly was able to take him down with a stopwatch in time, and Hope is here. The Hope of Team China. Your Audi Super A player twice in a row, looking to repeat that a third here as they will tackle and topple one more structure. The inhibitor in top lane will fall.
They'll get that third inhibitor. They will not be able to push beyond this third inhibitor. Hex gates will be used to disengage, and they will go back to base one more time. Baron buff up very soon. Hextech Drake for the Soul is going to be up very soon as well, and Hong Kong China with nowhere really to go besides the desperate moves right now. If they can get some wards out, maybe just find a semblance of control. But we said Hextech gates exist. well, they're going to use that to their advantage and get there faster anyway.
Yeah, and you still got 13 seconds till YSKM spawns. So you got some time to play with for Team China. Not really going to worry about that. And plus, we talked about that before, having the Fugor join the fight. Kenny Chan, he's been spotted out. He is the target that they need to take down as he's running away. As MM also going to dash out of there with Veta on the other side. But Kenny Chan getting the full attention of Team China's bot lane.
Kenny Chan struggling. Drake now on the cards. No contest for Hong Kong China. If they even consider coming to this Drake pit, they'll lose their base to super minions as the double supers crash. And straight to the Baron buff you would expect for Team China.
Get everything.
Yeah, absolutely everything. Tutorial ending is the goal here.
And for Team Hong Kong China, every lane gonna be threatened by the double super minions. They are in a horrible position and really without even a hope or a prayer. A miracle seems unlikely as well because they don't have a lane that can play around that split push they had set up. No longer can even leave the base.
Yeah, suddenly the strategies start to dissipate, right? They have a pick composition, they have a split push option, they have this 1-4 play style and mantra, but now they're forced to 5v5. The front door is being kicked down, and they have to respond.
Look at Hope. Hope understands this as well. Says, yeah, I dare you. I am a Zeri with Hex Tech Soul. You cannot fight into me. I will chase you down no matter where you go.
Pressuring right now, perhaps just threatening the end, looking for a bad fight forced by Hong Kong China. Seeing if they can make that happen, if they can produce mistakes. The pressure will continue.
See here, waiting it out. Iwandi is low. That could be a point to tackle, but really have to get on top of Hope. You have to lock him down, never let him get any damage. That is your only hope here for Team Hong Kong China. Team China are in the full driver's seat. They are in control, even if it looks like Hong Kong China are the ones setting up the fight. They got the damage onto the back line. Look for Matt as he has to dash away, but look at Hope. Hope taking down a turret, and he's looking for YSKM on top of it all as MM dashes away. Hong Kong China will fall. Team China grouping up together. They've got the power. Hope goes golden right at the end to dash away, not get locked up by the charm, even though MM does take him down at the very end. It was all Team China.